New tonight, we are taking a peek behind the orange curtain at Whataburger. You may already have your personalized order in mind even before you pull into the drive-thru. The Texas-sized burger joint has grown its menu and expanded offerings to its own app and merch store. Our media partners at Texas Monthly looked into Whataburger's quest to conquer America, so here we are talking about it. Joining us tonight is Tom Foster. Tom, thanks for being with us. Let's go ahead and start with Whataburger's humble beginnings. While the brand was successful under the Dobson family at first, it also had some challenges. Give us a brief history of the brand under the founding family.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me. It's a fascinating history. You mentioned the Dobson family. That goes back to the late founder of the company, Harmon Dobson, who the company started in 1950 in Corpus Christi. And this was a guy, this is one of those classic serial entrepreneurs. He was born in Arkansas originally, but he bounced all over the world. You know, he did jobs in Africa and the Middle East. He was a diamond prospector in South America, and eventually, of course, lands in Texas. Is looking for an opportunity here, and oddly enough, or maybe brilliantly, he decided that the world needed a larger burger, a burger large enough to hold with two hands, as he put it, and that became Whataburger. And the company it grew quickly, went to several other states, kind of overexpanded at one point around the 1980s, and retrenched until several years ago, around 2019. It was purchased by a private equity firm from Chicago, which is where we find ourselves now.
Yeah, and that's what I want to talk to you about. But some of the changes that BDT Capital Partners is making, though, they aren't so obvious. They're more in the way of technology. So what kind of tech is Whataburger using, or maybe even hoping to use, to improve service and to improve times?
Yeah, it's really fascinating. So the company, 2 years-ish ago, a little less than 2 years, in 2024, they hired a new CEO, a woman named Debbie Stroud, who came. She had spent her whole career at McDonald's and Starbucks, mostly McDonald's. At Starbucks, she had led the entire U.S. Retail operation. So this is a person who really understands large scale, really understands the kind of like systems and operations that it takes to meet Whataburger's ambitions to become a big national chain. And so, like you said, some of the changes are kind of under the hood. There's sort of a smaller warehouse-like building that they call their innovation lab or innovation kitchen. Historically, Whataburger has prided itself on cooking its burgers, fresh, never frozen beef, cooked to order on a flat top grill, like you would see in a diner or something. They are experimenting using what's called a clamshell grill. So picture like a George Foreman grill, but much larger. And that can cook things much more quickly. So rather than having orders take 5 or 6 minutes to turn around, this can cut the cooking time. You can cook a burger on both sides in just over a minute. So this is a big change, but one of the things it means is that if you're using this big clamshell grill, you're not just throwing on one burger at a time. So to work around that, they have predictive AI that they say can sort of determine what order volume is going to be like at any given moment, and still deliver fresh burgers. So it'll be interesting to see if customers notice a change.
As we know, the company has expanded beyond state lines. We know that, right? Or how is Whataburger rather exporting just Texas and maybe the whole experience of the state?
It's one of the most fascinating questions. It's one of the reasons I wanted to spend some time with them, because you have this brand that is has cult-like loyalty here in Texas. We take it as a, sort of an article of faith that Whataburger is ours and Whataburger is special and Whataburger is different. But, as they expand, they're in 17 states now. I think the Carolinas were the most recent addition. They show up in some town in North Carolina and people are excited and the lines are long at the drive-thru. But it's hard to tell at this point if that's because people are, developing the same kind of cult-like loyalty to Whataburger, or if they're just checking out the new thing in town. And that's a big challenge for them. And so a couple of the things they're doing in Texas, they're sort of like HEB in the sense that they invest in the communities they're in. When there were floods in the Hill Country last year, they were out there feeding first responders. So when they go to a new community, they try to find ways to invest in the community, to work on community development projects, community service projects. To establish some goodwill. And then I guess the other fairly obvious thing they do is they're exporting the kind of flavor profile that Texans have come to appreciate. So spicy ketchup, or limited time offerings. Like they had a drink that was really popular last year that was bright pink. It was a prickly pear drink. And that might seem really normal here in Texas, but in another place, that might be kind of exotic and something that, really grabs people's attention.
Yeah, certainly. Some people might be concerned about what's next. As you write, BDT's business model typically involves holding the companies that it buys for just 8-12 years before cashing out. But we're now starting year 7 since BDT took the helm. Do you have an idea of what most likely could happen next to Whataburger? I mean, what's your sense?
It's all speculation, but you're right that it is year 7 of this likely 8 to 12 year cycle. Their whole business model is not to buy and hold, but to buy and increase the value and then sell and pocket that value or reinvest it in something else. There are a couple ways that could go. Certainly an obvious one would be to become a publicly traded company. The problem there is that the market for initial public offerings, especially around restaurants, has been pretty difficult in the last handful of years. It can happen, but there's a very high bar to succeeding doing that right now. Another option that might be pretty interesting is, there are larger restaurant groups that own multiple chains. So if you think of like Burger King is owned by a holding group that owns Burger King as well as other chains, Tim Hortons in Canada and some other things. A company like that, and there are multiples of those companies, might be an interesting kind of strategic buyer, might see in Whataburger, a really might plug into their larger portfolio really nicely. So we'll see. But it, as Debbie Stroud, the CEO, said to me, we're in year 7, and they could call tomorrow and say, hey, let's work on what's next.
Let's work on Wexel. Well, we'll be keeping our eyes peeled for what's next. Our thanks to Tom Foster for tonight's discussion. You can read his full article right now on TexasMonthly.com.